question of what is disinformation, but disinformation itself. So it's false or misleading information that is spread deliberately to deceive. And the reason I'm quoting Wikipedia on that is because I find it quite interesting that they file disinformation under their series on war. The term disinformation comes from the word Disinformatia in Russian, because it was coined by Joseph Stalin in 1923. And to this day, Russians are trying to spread disinformation, or again, misleading information, in attempts to manipulate and mislead people's feelings, opinions, and beliefs online, not just online, and internationally in different countries. Misleading information, and kind of the Russian flavor of doing this, is that it starts with the seed. So it'll be a small piece of information, maybe a fissure in opinion between different political parties or different opinions. Starts as a seed, and then it's watered until it grows, where they start spreading the information more, targeting maybe certain people to believe a piece of information and then tell their friends about it, whether that's in person or online. The Russian trolls were sending different messages to people on different sides of the spectrum to push people super duper far apart, send them more and more kind of emotionally charged information that they really agree with, because they're getting pushed into these two different opinions to a point where they can't relate to each other anymore. Ukraine has been long a testing ground for Russian disinformation campaigns. Of course, in person and kind of, or in offline, before online was a thing, disinformatia, propaganda, etc. But what we've found evidence of is that they're testing out tactics on Ukraine in different ways, and then deploying them on different countries. So a quick example of something being deployed kind of by Russia on Canada is actually that Russia Today, I think it was just a couple of years ago, ran a story saying that Canada was run by Nazi Ukrainians. Maybe Ivan Baker was in that news piece by Russia Today. They were showing clips of Chrystia Freeland and all of the politicians in their Vyshiti Sorochke. And the story they were trying to push was that Canada was just being overrun by Ukrainians, which isn't the case, but yes, we are a very strong Hromada. So that was one piece of misleading information that they were trying to spread in Canada. Another kind of smaller example of disinformation, not as wide scale as what I was looking at on Twitter, was that during the Ukrainian election, Russians were they were reaching out individually to Ukrainians online and trying to purchase their Facebook accounts, because Facebook had put up guards that you can't put up political advertising in a country if you're not based in it. So they were individually trying to buy these accounts online from people and then put political advertisements through their profiles while they were in Ukraine. So this is very small scale, but it's just an example of working to manipulate different countries. So there's one thing, and one kind of piece of advice, I guess, that I have, or insights, is that there are a lot of ways to study disinformation. My method is using data science and data science methods to analyze big data sets, like big Excel spreadsheets, essentially, of tweets and of other social media posts to understand how disinformation spreads. But you could also research disinformation through lots of other fields, of course, from a historical perspective, through political studies, policy studies, by looking into ways that we can increase media literacy education to counter disinformation, lots of different ways to study it, and of course, including data science. So speaking of data science, if anyone is interested in potentially going into that, to break it down, it's the process of using computer programs to analyze the past and to sometimes predict the future, but not always. So what I'll typically do is I'll start with a spreadsheet. You can see at the back, I've got a spreadsheet there. I open it in a language called Python, a coding language that lets me manipulate the spreadsheet and analyze it. And then what I do is visualize the information from the spreadsheet as a network. So I draw the connections between those Russian trolls and the real people they reached out to online. I draw a line between each of them, and I visualize that, and patterns emerge. And another thing is that even though I got a master's degree in data science, it's because I knew I wanted to do this PhD, and of course needed a master's to get into it, but you do not need a master's to study data science. Again, lots of things you can do online or shorter programs that you can take. And whatever you're doing as your undergraduate degree, you could potentially find ways to bring data science knowledge into it and analysis into it, and then work for a company within your special field, but bring data science knowledge into that. So I want to leave you with 3 pieces of advice that I've picked up along the way throughout that kind of winding road that I've been down. And the first one is to learn and pivot from failures. So we've all had kind of those moments where something doesn't go quite so well. The first time that I conducted an interview as a research assistant in my undergraduate degree, I forgot to press the record button. I did a half-hour interview and absolutely nothing to show for it. I went to my professor quite upset because I completely messed up the interview for her research, and she told me that the exact same thing happened to her when she was a research assistant and just starting out. So that was quite appreciated. I'm just telling you all my failures here. Another one is that I actually didn't get into the master's degree at Oxford for the PhD that I'm now in. So there's a social data science master's degree. I didn't get into that 2 years ago, and I applied because I simply wasn't ready for it. So even if you apply for something that you're convinced is your dream program, just like I was convinced of that being my dream master's degree, I didn't get in. I pivoted. I did the data science master's, and everything turned out fine because I managed to get more experience and get into the PhD that I'm in now. So speaking of finding something you're passionate about, I knew that was the next slide. I just kind of set it back there anyway. Find something you're passionate about and seek mentors. As I mentioned in my kind of introduction of the programs my professional experience and my academic experience, I really did pick up mentors along the way, all of which I'm still in contact with. They still write me references when I need them. They give me advice when I need it. And definitely, if there's somebody you're interested in learning from, the least you can do is ask them for a 25-minute informational interview. 25-minute Zoom call, have a few questions prepared, or at least some comments on why you wanted to chat with them, like what you feel like you have in common, and they'll be very happy to talk your ear off for 25 minutes throughout their day about their life experiences, what they've learned. They'll send you links and resources to help you get into the field and achieve your next step. So that's a huge piece of advice from me, is to seek mentors. And the third thing is expect to evolve, learn new things, pivot, and change fields. Again, now that I look back, of course, the path that got me to where I am makes sense because I have the benefit of hindsight. Hindsight is 20/20. It absolutely did not feel that way when I was in the process, especially when I didn't get into that master's degree, though I pivoted and continued learning and doing what I needed to do to get into the PhD of my dreams. So embrace the uncertainty that comes, because it really does mean that you can do anything. Uncertainty, it's very frightening, but it means that everything in front of you is possible to do. So with that lovely piece of advice, I'd love to thank you for having me speak to all of you today. And I just want to leave you with actually the fortune cookie that I got on New Year's. I was at Mandarin with my family, really missing Mandarin and buffets, but I was at Mandarin, got this fortune cookie, and apparently it foresaw COVID, but I was really prepared to do a PhD at City, and I was hoping to get into Oxford, but I wasn't sure if I'd get in, of course. And be prepared to modify your plan. When I got in, it really felt right, and I was really happy with where I was going to go, but I aimed high and was lucky, of course, to get in. So embrace uncertainty, seek mentors, and yeah, modify your plan as you grow and learn.